All right, folks, it is time, baby. I am super excited today. We are about to get into our keynote session, our closing keynote session for our intro to being a functional practitioner series to celebrate our largest Black Friday sale ever, the largest Black Friday, actually largest sale that we've ever had here at FDN. So let's get some hellos dropped in the chat. Our guest is here with us, or our speaker rather is here with us, but I'm just giving her a moment while we get everyone tuned in. I never want anyone to miss these sessions. I always want to make sure we get as many people on as possible. So I like to give you guys a second as we get everyone loaded in. So drop a hello in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear from you guys. We have some super fun stuff that we are going to be doing today in addition to the keynote itself. We have 2 Amazon gift cards that we will be giving away to some lucky viewers. We're not doing that right now, but we will be doing that pretty soon. And then we will also have an advanced course giveaway that will happen at the end of our end of the presentation here today. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. And I know I always have this 30, 60-second delay on Restream, but I'm caffeinated and impatient. So I'd love to see where you guys are tuning in from. Is there anyone that has made the entire series? Has someone here, I know Holly's made almost all of them. It's got to be, Holly's got to be up there. Angelique's got to be up there. How many people have made all of the intro series? We got Sherry tuning in from Florida. Glad to have you here. Welcome, welcome. All right. Let us know. What other stuff do we need to do really quick? Quick housekeeping. So this is a keynote where if you guys are interested in the FDN course, if you're training, if you're a graduate, there is something for everyone today. This is why I love these sessions so much. They are extremely exciting. And I leave inspired myself, by the way. I don't just mean that to hype it up, but even as a host, I always leave these things and I'm like, wow, this is amazing what our FTNs have gone and done. I happen to have just enough behind the scenes knowledge of our guests' business to know that it's pretty darn bad. You know what? I try not to curse. Bad butt. That doesn't sound as cool though. But I don't know the full extent of it. So I'm going to learn a lot of things today myself. So I'm very excited to hear from her. We got Greenville, South Carolina in the house. We also have... Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. Nancy made all of them. Wow. Great job, Nancy. Not job. Nice job. Yes, all of them for Nancy. Not live, but I caught up on this weekend. That's fair, man. I always find it amazing that anyone catches all of them live. That would be kind of insane. We got a hello from Arizona, North Carolina. You guys are being a little shy. All right. And a hello from Florida. I do see you as well. Also, that's what I was going to say. So, largest Black Friday sale in history, largest sale in history of FDN ever since we opened up in 2008 as a course. It is $2,000 off, and it's only good until the end of the day today. Now, we've been telling you guys about this since November 10th, but it does end today, Monday, December 1st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. If you hate time zones and you're like, what does that even mean? Of California time. When it's the end of the day in California time and it's about to turn to Tuesday, December 2nd, then that is when you got to buy the FDN course. It's up to $3,500 off for paying in full. Now the chat's going. All right. Berks County, PA, you're not too far from me right now, Megan. Guys, I'm not, the only part of me that's not feeling good today is this background. I'm so sorry. I have this awesome background for those that attend regularly. You guys know that, but I'm traveling at my parents right now, or to my parents right now. We were here for the holidays and I got my closet background for our keynote speaker. It just doesn't feel right. It does not feel right. So it's $2,000 off the FDN course until the end of the day today, up to $3,500 off for paying in full. And remember, or maybe you don't know this, you always get 2 extra bonuses for paying in full. You get a $500 credit towards one of our advanced courses, and you also get a $300 credit towards one of our lecture packages. We got Lisa tuning in from Toronto. Nice. Dana made it. Look at this. What a great way to start off here. I'm going to share your comment, Dana, if I can get it to show up here for me. Does not want to right now. Let's see why that is. There we go. Made it to a lot of them and enrolled this weekend. You know what? I think that counts. You actually get a pass that says that you were at all of them if you enrolled this weekend. So fair enough, and welcome to FDN. Oh, nice. Andarin or Andarini, you still have never corrected me here. So I've been saying Andarin for a while. I hope that's all right. And then if it's not, always let me know. I'd love to get people's names right. I hate saying them wrong live. Just registered today. So welcome to FDN. This is great. This is going to be about the most inspiring thing that you could hope to have when you just started the FDN course. So let's lock in here. I do want to explain, though, really quick before I read my guest's bio, and then we bring her on and we get into this. How are the giveaways going to happen today? So I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I will give you guys another formal announcement. It's going to be very clear. But what happened last time is I tried to do the live chat, but there is a, you guys probably can't tell on YouTube, but you see like this fancy blue background and how we're bringing up the comments there. I'm backwards, so it screwed me up. But you see how we're bringing up the comments? We use this third-party platform to stream to YouTube and all these other things. Well, what we discovered last time when we did the giveaways is that our chat is not the same as your guys' chat, so we didn't think it's fair. We would want the first person to chat to win. So here's how we're going to do it today. I'm going to have this little sheet / prize wheel for you guys. So I'm going to drop a link, maybe halfway through the keynote here. And then again, I will formally direct us to it at some point once Leah is done. And then you guys will be able to just submit your name really quick. We will do a live prize reel so everyone knows it's 100% fair and 100% even. And we're giving away $200 Amazon gift cards today and one advanced course. You actually can choose from several. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'm going to bring Leah on. Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Session. Let me get your bio here and tell the people who they are dealing with today. So Leah Brueggemann is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and NLP certified hormone health coach who built a multi-six-figure practice serving women with hormonal imbalances like PMDD, PCOS, and endometriosis. With over 600 client transformations and a top 1% globally ranked podcast, Leah has mastered the art of combining functional health expertise with scalable systems, marketing that converts, and emotionally resonant messaging. Leah is passionate about helping women feel heard, understood, and empowered to take control of their health without burnout, guesswork, or restrictive extremes. Please drop a hello for her in the chat. And you guys always know I add my makeshift bio, so I don't even know if she realizes this part of it, but hopefully you understand how much of a compliment this is now. So I have done 465 episodes of our podcast at this point. We have a great friend that is also an FDN. He's a massive name in the space. His name's Ben Azadi. Actually, in September or October, he was the second most viewed alternative health account in the world, only outside of Dr. Eric Berg. And everyone knows, you've heard the name at some point. That guy can't be missed on YouTube. He's getting millions of views on his stuff. And so Ben and I have a friendship from conferences, and Ben is very humble, very kind, but you know how it is. If someone's a big name and there's a lot that goes into what they're doing, you want to respect their time, right? You have to know in the back of your head, you got to respect their time. So there's been only 3 people ever that I have directly recommended from our podcast out of 465 episodes to Ben. And I message him privately. I'm like, Ben, dude, you need to have this person on. They are 100% worth your time and will bring a ton of value to your audience. And Leah, you were actually, I know that you were on, obviously, but I don't know if you realized that you're only one of 3 people.
I didn't know.
And you got to fly down to Miami and stuff. I mean, you did the in-person thing too.
Yeah, it was very cool. We still keep in touch. He's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are both 2 very down-to-earth people that are still wildly successful in your own right. So I want to bring in your slides. I don't want to waste any more time. I want people to be able to hear this today. One thing that I do think is important, though, if you don't mind really quick, is what do you think someone can get from this today? Because we do, admittedly, we throw them so many sessions sometimes. We've thrown them like 20, 25 probably this month. Obviously, they're here, so I'm expecting them to stay. But regardless, if they're like, oh, man, do I have the hour right now? Can I do this? What can they expect to get from your presentation today?
I think you're going to see how you can walk into FDN and literally know nothing and you can create a business. So it's really all about how you can get scrappy and make money versus like, I think sometimes even my slides, I didn't create my slides, you guys, somebody else did. I sent them a Google Doc. So I really just want to share, like, you don't need to know the things, you just need to trust the process.
Okay, so you mean you don't need to be a medical doctor with an extensive medical background before being a successful FDN? You're saying something like that.
Correct.
And you don't need to have your master's in business to be a successful business owner as an FDN.
Correct. You don't even have to you don't even have to know how to do an email platform, because I also didn't know that.
Okay. So I only specified those things for, maybe you guys are in the chat, but 2 of you will know who I'm talking to. You guys asked about that stuff, and they're reasonable questions, right? It's actually a compliment when you see how successful FDNs are to then think, oh, do I need a medical background or a business background? I totally get that. So let's see what can be done when you don't start out with those things. Leah, I'm going to bring up your slides for you. And this probably looks good for everyone, which is great. I remove my head while you're presenting just out of respect. If anything happens, any tech stuff, I pop back in and I can't say I'll fix it, but I certainly will try. Guys, without further ado, let's get to Leah's presentation. I'm excited to hear it, and the floor is yours, my friend.
All right. So welcome, guys. I know Evan just gave me a really nice intro, but I'm going to give you a little bit of my own intro, because when I started learning about health, if you have jumped on my Instagram, you jumped on my podcast, I think something that is really easy to get misconstrued is that you have to have a very large social media following. You have to have all of these marketing things. And because I do have a large social media following, I have almost 50K on Instagram. I have over 300K on TikTok. I have a top ranked podcast. And you guys, I didn't have anything. I didn't have social media when I started my business. So I had 0 followers. 0. I literally have a message from my brother when I created my Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, you've joined social media." And I was like, "Yeah, just because I have to." So I have not been successful because I've had that. Okay. So when I started my business, I didn't have a sales page. I didn't have a website. I used a Google Doc to just kind of write out what I was going to be able to offer people. And I was charging $300 for an 8-week program. And I have turned that now into a multi-6-figure business. And we are going to make 7 figures in 2026. Okay. So let's dive in. If I can figure out how to make my how to make my slides move for you, because technically, there we go. Okay, so I specialize in helping women balance their hormones naturally, specifically with PCOS, endometriosis, and infertility. So when I sent Evan my bio, I hadn't taken into account our 2025 clients. So I have helped over 670 women total balance their hormones naturally and counting. Last year, every woman that came to me, my team, due to infertility got pregnant except for one. And we get a lot of clients every year. So that is a pretty big win. I actually just got a message from a client yesterday who's working with us for infertility. She has endometriosis. She has had a laparoscopic surgery for endo, and she was still dealing with really painful periods. She was dealing with a lot of issues around her cycle. She had gone through 2 fertility treatments with no success. She's in month 4 working with us. First, she got her painless period. Then she got rid of her symptoms around her cycle. And she just sent me a picture of her positive pregnancy test last night. So I am very proud of what me and my team have been able to do. But the biggest thing is that I have 3 little boys, and they're my priority. You can see this little one over here. Well, he's not so little anymore. He is going to be 6. I started my business when he was 3 months old. Yes, 3 months old. My husband is currently now a physical therapist, but when I started my business, he was in his doctorate program, and I was the full-time breadwinner as a full-time musician. I had nothing in the health background. I went to college for music. I got my bachelor's in piano and voice, and I was a full-time performer. And I was the full-time breadwinner, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea to start my business when I have a 3-month-old. So everything I've built in my business has been around being a mom. And my husband and I used to joke that every time I have a baby, I seem to up level my business. And we kind of joke about it, but it is actually really true, because being a mom really has made me value time just so efficiently. Like, how much can you get done in a nap time, and really organize your priorities according to what you want them to be. Okay. So 6 years ago, when I started my business, I just wanted to make $50,000. I was like, if I can make $50,000, I've got it made, you guys. And so I started with a $300 group program, absolutely no website. I had no social media following, and I just created a Facebook group. And that is where I actually hosted all of my training modules. And I had a Google Doc sales page. That's how I started. And I started because of my own health journey. Okay. So right, I went to college for music. I had absolutely no interest in dabbling in health. I used to literally think Skittles was an appropriate breakfast food, and I lived by that. But I graduated college, and I was really tired. I'm saying, like, sleep 10 hours at nighttime and still exhausted. I had very irregular cycles. I would have maybe 3 cycles a year, and they would be debilitating. When I would get my period, I would be on the highest dose of Midol and still throwing up. And the doctors were just like, well, you have low progesterone. You have chronic low progesterone. And so for me, that was horrible, but not big enough for me to do anything about it until I was diagnosed with fibroadenomas. So fibroadenomas are benign breast tumors, and breast cancer runs in both sides of my family. And so that is what kind of kicked me into gear, like, wow, I should pay attention to what's going on in my life. And so I started trying to figure this out. I had gone to doctor after doctor and naturopath after naturopath, and everybody was very focused on one thing, like heavy metals are your issue, parasites are your issue, estrogen dominance is your issue. And what you have learned through going through all the talks with FDN is that there's never one thing, right? It really is important that you're looking at the body as a whole. And so obviously, after years, I was still not seeing results. Okay. So obviously, very frustrated. So that's when I went back and started just using myself as a guinea pig and throwing spaghetti at a wall, and accidentally started utilizing some of FDN's principles before I even was aware of FDN. So you guys probably have been hearing about DRESS, and that is what I was accidentally doing, was really paying attention to diet and rest, obviously not the supplement portion because I hadn't run any labs. So I was able to regulate my cycles. I was able to get painless periods, and I actually was able to raise my progesterone enough to actually get pregnant when that would have been impossible before. And you know what I started doing? I started talking about my period. I was like, you guys, can you imagine having a painless period? Because going from somebody who had to call in sick to work, and because I was self-employed, if I didn't work, I didn't get paid, to having painless cycles, it was life-changing for me. And so I felt like everybody should have a painless period, right? And it wasn't really rocket science when you look at the changes. It just was really looking at the body as a whole. And so I just started talking about it. And I remember my friend, literally, she is the one who, I guess I can give credit to starting my business, said, hey, would you give a free challenge training on what you did to get painless periods? And I was like, sure, why not? So I did, hence why I created social media, and I created a free training to let people sign up. And after the training, people were like, how do I work with you? I said, I have no idea. I don't have a business. So I created something. I created a very short 8-week program so that I could start walking people through this. So my first program was $300 for 8 weeks, and I had it in a Facebook community. I had group calls. I had training modules. I sold from a Google Doc. The program wasn't fancy, but it worked. And it was really me just in there every day with all of the women, giving 1,000,000% of my time. And it was a lot of time, right? I had a 3-month-old baby, but you guys, at this point, it was me like on nap time. It was me like every single second going on a walk with the baby. I'm going to be answering questions. And what was the biggest struggle here is that there was only one of me. And I didn't quite have a system because I hadn't been through FDN, right? I was just pulling stuff together here. And everybody knew that. I was not selling this as if I was a practitioner. I was literally just sharing my story. I said, hey, this is what I have been through. This is what I can offer you. This is my story. And I was extremely transparent, and people still joined. And I think that is one of the biggest things that people forget when they enter marketing is they go, I have to be able to have thousands and thousands of testimonials. Your story and who you are is going to be the most impactful for your future clients, because if they don't resonate with you and your story and how you teach and how you vibe, they're not going to want to work with you. Okay. So share your story. It is the most important thing. So year one, you guys, I actually did make 50K. So go Leah. I had absolutely no systems, none. I had no niche. I just talked about periods. So I guess I kind of niched, but I had no idea what I was doing. I just talked about periods. I had not funnel. I had, what are those things that horses wear? Blinders on. I had blinders. I had absolutely no strategy, zero. And I was like, you know what? I probably need somebody to help me with this. And I had created a relationship with a business coach, and I joined her mastermind. You guys, so this was back when I had only made about, I don't know, maybe $1,000 total, and I hired a business coach. It was 10K. And the reason why I say that with that face is because I probably like cried tears and threw up in my mouth when I did it, because that just seemed astronomical. It was a 6-month program, and it was worth every single penny and then more, because I had somebody that was able to believe in me. And without that, I don't know where my business would be. And the cool thing is that you guys actually have this business support now in FDN. So you don't even have to do what I did. I had a lot of consistency, a lot of heart. And just for kicks, I started a podcast. And I literally mean just for kicks. So I would record the podcast episode probably the night before it went out. I edited it myself, and I knew nothing about like audio balancing. And probably every month there was somebody that complained about the audio balance. And I was just like, it's a free podcast. You can complain if you want, but whatever. So I actually got introduced to FDN because of my podcast. So I interviewed an FDN, and that's where I was like, whoa, this is cool. So you get access to labs, you get access to a framework, you get to understand the why behind all of these things. It's all step by step. I was like, sign me up. I literally joined FDN very soon after that. I didn't do research into a million other programs because I had already been aware of a million other programs, and I was like, they're not for me. But when I got introduced to FDN, I'm like, that's what I need. And at this point, my first kiddo was just 1 year old, and I got started on my FDN journey. I was literally like a sponge, you guys. I remember my 1 year old walking around outside, and I was walking around with my phone like this, following him because we're playing outside, and I'm just listening to the FDN lectures. And I'm just like walking and walking, walking. And then I would have to listen again because then I wanted to take notes. Okay. But I was a sponge. I'm like, how fast can I learn this? And FDN was the turning point for me. Okay. So at this point, so my kiddo was 1, I had made almost 70K at this point in my business. So FDN, and the reason why, if you're like, the math isn't making sense, it is making sense because I joined FDN when my kid was 1, but you obviously have to like go through the program, right? I loved the detective model. I loved the whole body approach. I love knowing I could help people on a deeper level because, right, all I was doing right now was talking about painful periods. That's all I knew. That was my story. And when I entered FDN, I'm like, wow, I can help a lot of people. I understand why. You can dig deeper. You can run these labs. And it's so systematized. And my dad's an engineer. Again, nothing in the health space. My dad's an engineer. And so that appealed to me to have everything just so organized and systematized and understand why. So I graduated FDN. And in the first 2 weeks, I made $40,000. Lab-based programs convert better. And it also elevated my confidence. You did actually read that correctly. So how did I do that? In case you're wondering, I had been talking about FDN. I'd been sharing FDN, that I was going through this. I was sharing that I was going to have access to doing labs, all of this stuff. And at this point, I don't think my audience was, I'm trying to think of when Instagram got really big. I feel like I've blacked out parts of my journey just because they were hard. I had to ask my husband for some details. I'm like, tell me what happened at this point. I had definitely less than 10,000 followers on Instagram. I think I had around 4,000 or 5,000 at this point. And I was just talking about FDN, talking about the labs, talking about what I would be able to do. And what I did was, at this point, I had only had group coaching that people had access to me. It was called the Hormone Reset Program. And I opened up one-on-one coaching with labs, and I priced it at $4,000 for 4 months. And it included their labs. And I had 10 people join. and I closed down enrollment. I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like, I can help you, but like, I can't handle this many people at one time. This is a lot. I need to figure out what I'm doing. This is going to be complicated. I need systems. And this is exactly what happened. I was extremely overwhelmed. I was there to serve the women. I was there to help the women. I was there to get them results, and I did. But what you didn't see was behind the scenes, me crying when everything would come in, and I would go, oh my gosh, I can't lose this lab. I need to make sure these notes are together, because every single client that I had come in, I did a clinical consult for. Every single lab that came in, I did a clinical consult for. And I did clinical consults for a very long time. And the reason why FDN is so amazing is they don't just spring you loose. You don't graduate and then they go, have fun. They are there to support you. They have prepped you so much, but then they help guide you to success. And there were clinical consults where I got to talk to these practitioners who had been doing this for years, and they had seen, probably at this point, thousands of labs and thousands of different protocols. And so I was able to bring my clients to them and be like, this is what I am thinking. What are your 2 cents? So I was able to have multiple sets of eyes on every protocol that I was giving out, which helped so much with my confidence, because yes, I knew what I was doing because I had graduated FDN, but you guys, you have to practice. And so that's why that's one of my favorite things about FDN is their clinical consults that they offer to graduates. And then I hired Morgan, who actually was one of my clients from way back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, back when I had, before I was in FDN. And she is currently still with me, and she is my right hand in everything behind the scenes. And I was like, please help me create some systems. And we started, I remember we didn't even have Practice Better. We didn't have any platform from the training modules. She introduced me to something called OneNote, which I'm sure Leah was not tech savvy at all. I didn't even know what OneNote was, but it was how I was able to keep track of all my notes and everything. She saved my life when it comes to systems. At this point, I finally had a website built by Rebecca, who also created these slides for you. I send her a Google Doc and she does that. Things were flowing, and I made about $200K that year with $150K profit. The profit margin, you guys, is very important to remember as we continue this talk, okay? Because it gets interesting. So this is where my story gets a little expensive. Okay, so I don't know if I told you at this point, but I had a second kid somewhere in there. So my second kiddo was just over a year old at this point. Okay, so at this point, I had a successful business. It was me, Morgan, running behind the scenes. This is Caitlin over here. She was also one of my past clients, and then she came in to help me with running the group program. She was a fitness coach, and so she did a lot around the fitness aspect of it. And it was successful. And I was happy with where things were at. And I didn't think that health practitioners could make more money. And that was my limiting belief. My limiting belief was, once you've hit 6 figures, that's you're doing awesome, right? And I mean, you are, but at this point, I really thought that was the end of the line in terms of growth for me. And see, the podcast keeps coming back, you guys. I interviewed a functional doctor on my podcast, and he asked to swap and have interview me on his. And after we did that, we were talking for a couple minutes, and he goes, why don't you grow your business bigger? You can help more women. And I just said, yeah, because I don't have any more time. I said, I have 2 kids. There is no way that I can handle any more clients. Impossible. Cannot do it. And he said, yes, you can. And I'm like, nope, can't do that. Definitely not. And I just ended that conversation. Well, he didn't give up. And, I'm going to send him a thank you. But he called me a little bit later, and he goes, hey, about growing your business. And I was like, about growing my business. We're not growing my business. And he said, but you can. And he didn't give me any concrete, you can do this, you can do that. He just opened up the vision of potentially where I could go. And he was just like, you need to clone yourself. I'm like, I don't exactly know how to do that, but he just opened up my mind. And so I have a second kiddo at this point, kind of like, what if I did? What if I did just figure out how to clone myself? I don't know. And he introduced me to an agency that he was working with. And I have the utmost highest respect for this agency and what I learned from them. They ultimately were not a good fit for me, but this is where I got started in scaling my business. And this is where it gets really expensive. And you guys, this is where I literally had to ask my husband. I'm like, I kind of forgot some of these details. I think I just suppressed them because this was the year of a lot of tears. Okay. So this was around October. And so I said my second kiddo was just over 1. So he was born in 2022. So it's the end of 2022, I guess. And I stopped enrollment for my program so I could really think about how I was going to do this. And so I took a step back and I rebuilt my group program. So at this point, like I said, it was 8 weeks. It wasn't very long. It was housed in a Facebook group with the training module. So I ended up on getting into Go High Level, which we are still currently in today. Like we jumped platforms somewhere in the middle of there, but we are currently with Go High Level. And I really do like it. So we got on that, and that's where I could host like my email funnel, send out SMS. This is where like clients could SMS to us versus just using email and Voxer. Like it just got rid of a lot of platforms for us. It was HIPAA compliant. So we get on there. And I built out my group program. So I did a combination of my one-on-one coaching at this point and my group program, and I combined them into what is now a 6-month program. And I also went to study NLP, which is neuro linguistics programming, because I was like, you know what, I just want to add this part into my clients. This has nothing to do with like building this part of the business, but it makes sense when I explain what I added to the program. So I wanted the program to be a mix of one-on-one as well as group, because the big thing that I found in women is that they need community. They need to know, like, you're not the only one dealing with these issues, especially when it comes to these hormonal issues where we just feel like, oh my gosh, I don't see this talked about. I just must be weird. You're not weird. And you're gaslit when you go to the doctor. So I felt like community was so important. So I wanted to have the group calls, but I also wanted to have the one-on-one support. And so we aren't taking any clients yet. So I'm filming all of these videos, and that takes a little bit, but what I did was I pulled up some of my past clients, and they actually went on to study, and I started training them in my methodology as well. And the reason why I did this is because I, at this point, am trying to clone myself to the best of my ability. And I need them to be my eyes and ears to help me guide all of these women that I knew we were going to bring into here. Okay. So future Leah can build really big vision. Okay. I was like, we're going to help so many women. And in order to do that, I need more of my eyes and ears. And so I was doing this during this time. We weren't accepting any clients. And we were building out like training webinars. We were building out email funnels, all of these things. And this is what's going on. I am doing exactly what this agency told me to do. I will give it to you guys. I am 100% an awesome implementer. You tell me what to do, I'm going to do it. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm just like, I just think that this isn't going to work for my audience. And they say, no, we've done this with a lot of people. You can do this, Leah. And I go, I just don't think so. I don't think this is going to resonate. And it launched, I think, end of January. Crickets. So we are doing at this point, they have ads, going to a live training, going through a funnel. And at this point, wasn't doing sales calls. It was not working. So it was crickets. And we had some women that were joining from my warm audience, and we were taking them through. They were seeing massive success. We had added a lot of mindset support, because when I was working with women in hormones, I'm like, okay, this is a portion that seems to be really impacting them that we need some more support with. And you guys, crickets. So let me hit the next line for you so we can talk about some numbers. This is what was happening behind the scenes, besides all my tears. Okay. So I kid you not, there was ads going out so I would film the ads, I would send them to this agency, and it came across my feed. And I just remember sitting there in shocked silence, because the ad, like with the video, had the wrong text. Like the video was saying one thing and the text said something completely different. Like they were talking about two opposite things. And I'm just like, okay, I know nothing about ads, but I think this is incorrect. And I would bring it to their attention, and they'd be like, oh no, oh yeah, it's just a glitch. Like it will work itself out. I'm like, what? No, I don't think so. That did not work. I kept trying that for, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks. Once I decide something's not working, I'm pretty quick to like jump ship. So we ended up on going with somebody else to do ads. And this is where I learned something, you guys. And Evan, I feel like, lives in the marketing world, so he'll back me up on this one. Marketers are really great at marketing themselves. Not necessarily so much you. And this went down the stream of really bad hires for me. Very bad strategic advice, botched campaigns. The only thing that was keeping me above float at this point was I built the podcast to a point where I had sponsorships, affiliate income, my one-on-one clients, and we did have women coming in from my warm market. Okay. So this was just me, like, the women that I had built that trust with. Okay. We were supposed to be pulling in from a cold market. At this point, that was not happening. Okay. I was doing everything under the sun, though. I was still doing all my promotions on TikTok. I was still talking to my email list. I was still like in my Facebook group. I was still doing my live trainings. I was still doing all these things while I'm trying to get this work. Okay. I am very much a scrappy person, and I'm not just going to sit around and be like, well, that's just, not working. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying to figure it out. So I didn't go into debt, so that was a positive, right? We did change multiple women's lives. I built out an amazing team that I am very proud of, and they are with me to this day. I made $470K that year, you guys. I only profited $30K. So now that is why I think numbers are so important. Because do you know what I found out? Like when I started talking to other business owners that were like, oh, $1 million year, multiple 6-figure year. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And they're like, yeah, how are you doing this? And I said, what do you mean? You're making more money than me. And they're like, oh yeah, but we aren't profiting. Like, what? Yeah, I wasn't either. And people weren't talking about that. And I sat down that year and I was like, wow, this didn't work. I definitely brought in a lot of money, but is money very useful if you're not profiting? It's just like going right out the door. Not really. So this is when I actually almost quit. So I had been working on this for a while, a year. So I started in October, and I worked on it for an entire year and a half. And I got pregnant. What year is it, you guys? 2025. So I got pregnant in the middle of 2024. We're still chugging along. At this point, like, profit really isn't there, but we're breaking even. And so I'm like, okay, maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. But I was 6 months pregnant. And I actually had a high-risk pregnancy. So I had what is called a subchorionic hemorrhage, which ended me in the ER at 12 weeks pregnant. And thankfully, I stopped bleeding, but I had a subchorionic hematoma, which is one of the most common things to just have in pregnancy. And it's pretty normal. They're typically under a centimeter. Mine was 9 centimeters by 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. It was massive. So I was put on modified bed rest for a little bit. And thankfully, at this point, like, I had known enough to be able to bring more information to my doctor to be able to support me in this. And so grateful to FDN for that, because I don't know if my baby would be here if I didn't have the knowledge to be able to come to my doctor with that. I was stressed all the time. It wasn't just around launching. I was just stressed all the time. And there was no light at the end of the tunnel. There wasn't. And so thankfully, my hematoma existed my entire pregnancy. It never resolved. What it did end up on doing is causing an issue with my son's bowel. And so on the ultrasound, they found a obstructed bowel. And so I got sent to University of Michigan to the specialist to deliver, which is about an hour and a half away from where I lived. So now, on top of all of this, I am going to the high-risk specialist and talking to all of them, typically every other week, getting ultrasounds every other week. Having no idea what's going to happen. And it was living the unknown. I kid you not. So I was doing live trainings at this point to promote the business, and every single live training, I kid you not, came right after an ultrasound meeting. And so I would come home from the ultrasound, and then the next day I would have to get on and do a live training. And I would just be like, I don't know if my baby's going to be okay. And this really, really sat with me of like, you have to be okay with the unknown. And it really taught me to learn and support my nervous system in this. And I kid you not, I headed into my labor and delivery, and the doctors were like, well, so they knew he was going to have to be in the NICU. They thought he was going to have surgery. They thought all of these things. They thought, we're worried about you hemorrhaging at birth because of the hematoma, like all of these things. And because of what I had learned at FDN, I was able to come in so prepared. And I was able to get my hemoglobin up significantly. I was able to get my iron up significantly. I was able to come in just so healthy and so prepared. And I ended up on going into labor early, which was unexpected because I typically go late. I went into labor early. I did lose a lot of blood, but thankfully, because I had gotten my hemoglobin up so much, it wasn't an issue. He did have to go to the NICU for 24 hours, but everything literally miraculously resolved. So he is my little miracle baby, but he is also the baby that took me through this. And I kid you not, I was ready to quit my business. I remember telling my husband, I was like, I'm done. And it wasn't that we had gone into debt. It was too much. It was just so much worrying about the business, worrying about the baby, being a mom, being a wife, doing all of these things. I'm like, there's just no light at the end of the tunnel. So this is what I did. I actually did stop working while I went on maternity leave. But right before I went on maternity leave, so he was born in March, so February, this is where I switched some things around. Before I went on mat leave, I stopped outsourcing my voice. So I was like, that's it. Leah's doing the marketing. I did all of the marketing. So me and my core team learned how to do ads. I was like, I'm not giving this to anybody else. We're going to figure it out ourselves. Instead of hiring on social proof what people said they could do for me, I hired on vibe and personality. I was like, if I like you, you seem like an honest person, we seem like we mesh, I can train you to do what I need you to do. I brought on past clients to do sales calls for me because at this point I was doing all of the sales calls. And I remember one time I had 20 sales calls in 1 week. Yeah, I had no evenings. Thankfully, this was a very small portion of my story. Like it was a lot, but this hasn't been going on for years and years and years and years. I rearranged my overhead and payment structure, and that made a massive, massive difference. So when I look back on all of this, I kind of go, wow, you took a lot of expensive turns. I learned a million ways how to not do things in business, but what never changed this entire time is how I showed up and got clients' results, thanks to FDN. What constantly changed was my income. Okay. So I've always been able to get clients' results, but my income has been a little bit sporadic, obviously. So right now, where I am in business, I found a webinar that converts really well. That it's a live training that I do. I found content that converts and brings in new leads. And guess what, you guys? It's storytelling. I found ads that convert very well. And me and my team do them. And they're very basic. I ended up on hiring commission-based high-ticket sales closers. This probably was one of the hardest things for me to do. Okay. Because I had always done the sales calls, or past clients has always done the sales calls. So I felt it was very personal. Like we knew what we were doing to be able to help these women. And so hiring a high ticket sales closer was very scary for me. I was like, are they going to be able to hold the space that I want to be able to represent this business? And so what did Leah do? Remember what I said on how I hired? I did not hire based on somebody's percentages. I got on calls with them and I hired on how I connected with them. And the first person that I hired, she actually interviewed me on the program. She was like, why should I join your program? And she's like, I see all these testimonials. How do you do this? It was literally, she wanted to be so bought into my program that obviously she could do a good job representing me. And she does. So I now have a webinar with over a 16% show up rate from a cold audience. 33% of the people that show up live book calls on the spot, and 37 to 45% of those people are closed. So I have 2 closers. One closes at a 37%, one closes at a 45% close rate. And there was light at the end of the tunnel. So I literally sent a message to one of the members on my team who helps me with managing social media. And I just said, oh my Lanta, like we've been working for this moment and we have learned 5 million ways on why this doesn't, how things don't work. And I think we actually found a way where this works. And right around that time, like I had been really having my hands in the weeds with every single client. And these coaches I have been training and working with my methodology, like they have all gone on to study more things. They're amazing. And they have been able to really become my eyes and ears this past year. And we got this message from a client that joined, and I didn't do the sales call with her. So she came in from my podcast. She went through an evergreen live training that I had recorded. So I guess that's not live. She had done a sales call not with me. And she had joined the program and we had done her labs, and she sent us this message. And I was just, at this point, I was like, okay, I've got this figured out. Okay. And I'm not saying that it's easy and it's all uphill, but I have always, always, always been able to get my clients results. So to now have all of these women that are part of my team become my eyes and ears and help, and I have an FDN on my team as well, is just so cool to me and has been so useful for my time management. So my business now, so I actually took off half the year for mat leave. I just took off half the year. You guys saw Instagram come out, Instagram posts, you saw podcast episodes come out, but I was not doing that. I had prepped that all ahead of time. So we have brought in 300K by December 1st with 30% profit, which I don't know if you guys like know numbers about profit first versus not. But anyway, that was my goal, is to hit profit first. But here's the cool thing. In payment plans, we already have for what's the next year? 2026. We already have over 20K secured. And by the end of December, we will have another 30K secured for 2026. And that's before 2026 has even started. And we have sustainable growth. So by the end of 2026, we will have hit 7 figures. So it is possible. But this is what I want to leave you with. You need to start. Okay. Waiting until you have everything, you're never going to start. I literally remember the first Instagram story that I ever recorded. I re-recorded it like 5 times because I was just like, this is stupid. I look dumb. I can't do this. And when I look back at my first posts and my first reels and my first pitches and my first sales calls, it's just so utterly embarrassing. I mean, if you want to go back, you can listen to my first podcast episodes because they still exist. And if you scroll back far enough on my Instagram, you'll see them. And it's, if you're not embarrassed by what you first put out, then you didn't start soon enough. Okay. So just start messy, stay consistent, and master your messaging. And you guys, you will master your messaging by going through FDN because you'll have your own story. I know everybody's like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Yes, you do. Why did you join FDN? Why do you want to join? What health issues do you want to get rid of? That's your story. Do not outsource your power. Do not. Okay, don't do what I did. Understand that people buy because they feel seen. And that is, I think, one of the biggest superpowers that me and my team are able to hold for women, is that we make them feel seen and heard and understood. Build capacity before scaling. So build capacity, aka don't do what Leah did and burn yourself out and cry all the time, because that's what I was doing that year. But it was scrappy. And when I look back on it, it was hard, but I am really proud of what I was able to create and the team that I've been able to build and the hundreds of women that we've been able to help because of FDN. So the FDN method is truly your superpower. And if you feel like you maybe, I don't know enough about health, I don't know enough about business, well, you'll learn. Okay. FDN literally sets it out for you. They have the business training literally integrated in there for you. They have all the support. You just have to start and you just have to ask for help. I am in their alumni group, and I still will ask questions in there, because you only stop growing when you stop learning, and I will forever be a student. Okay. All right, Evan, it's yours. The floor is yours.
All right, let me make an appearance again. I think I'm good to go. Guys, if we could drop a huge thank you for Leah in the chat, that would be amazing. So excited to see what you do in 2026. This was one of my favorite times of hearing you present. And I don't know if it's just because it's so much more story-based. Like, I don't know if you realize you're a very good speaker in addition to having the information. Like, you kind of break it down for us, like, now I'm going here. Like, it's the whisper. There's a lot of vocal variety and stuff.
That's
so as a professional speaker myself, it's impressive. You would get a 5 out of 5 at a Toastmasters meeting where they rate your speech. That's for sure. All right. Cool. I see the thank yous going in. That is a blessing today to not have our delay as long as it normally is. So guys, we have questions from earlier. We're going to get into Q&A now. We're also going to get into some fun stuff. I'm sorry, we're about to get into Q&A. So drop any questions that you have. Our team is behind the scenes. We actually, again, on this platform, we're able to star them and go directly back to them. So it's super easy. Now, I promised you guys some giveaways though. So we're going to do that before the Q&A as well. I love you guys. I mean this, I want to keep the vibes high and everything positive here. I am going to just assume this was meant accidentally. Guys, there's a Google form I need you to fill out to submit your name to the prize wheel. There are some double entries. Again, I'm going to assume everyone meant well with this, but if it happens from here on out, I can see what's happening. So I will know. If you double entry your name and you're not having, Leah's laughing because that's not a lot of integrity, okay? That is called disqualified. So you will not win any of the things. You cannot double entry, but you can enter one time. So we're going to drop this in the chat again for you guys. I'm sorry that it's a little bit annoying, but this is the fairest way to do it because I'm going to be able to take all these names in a few minutes, submit them to the prize wheel, and share it live for you. So there's no question about who actually won or who deserved it. So I want to give the time for that. I'm also going to share it via QR code for you. So if you're watching this on your computer, you can easily scan it. Entry form. It's the same form. You do not need to use this one if you used the link in the chat, but I want to make sure you guys have a few minutes to get this in. So Leah, if you do not mind, what I am going to do is I am going to just remove the share screen really quick. Please take a moment too. I want to make sure people can follow you, even if they're not going to be a client. Like they definitely should be supporting you. I think they'd love to. So drop your stuff in the chat. And what I am going to do while you do that, before we get into Q&A and the giveaways, because I want to give people a few minutes here to be able to enter so everyone has a fair chance. What we do need to talk about is this. I don't know how many of you are still looking into FDN. So can we do something in the chat really quick? And this is what we're going to do, folks. I want to make this clear as possible. We're going to put in 1, already enrolled, 2, trainee, or sorry, I'm a grad. How about this? 1, if you're an active trainee and just enrolled. 2, if you are a trainee or grad, but you've been here for a little bit. 3, still looking into the course and are trying to get that all figured out. I would like to know this in the chat. And remember, you're on YouTube, so we can't come hunt you down anyway. You have these weird usernames. So I'm genuinely just asking so that the next part makes sense here. So 1 in the chat if you're a trainee who just enrolled during this whole Black Friday series. 2, if you're a trainee or grad, but you've been here for a little bit, at least a month plus. 3, still looking into the course, trying to figure it out. Maybe you're coming in today. So let us know that in the chat. And I always, no matter how many times I say that there's a delay, I still feel a moment of stress every time when the answers don't instantly come in. Makes me scared. All right, let's share this again. You guys are great. Thank you for doing this. All right, so we got a bunch of fresh trainees. We got some 3s. Cool. Thank you guys. Awesome. What else we got? Some 3, a lot of huge variety. Thank you. Keep them coming in. This really helps me a lot, and it's going to make sense in a moment to make this all work. Alexa said, oops, too. That's okay. Mine was a little confusing, to be honest, to start. I realized that there is a difference between a trainee who just got rolling versus a trainee who's been here for a little bit longer. So awesome. Oh, I see Dawn. I recognize Dawn's name. Hi. Cool. All right. Thank you guys very much. Perfect. I'm going to take a moment then for our 3s, and then we will get into the giveaway today. And remember, everyone can qualify for the giveaway. So let me share my screen for just a moment and show you guys how this is going to work. All right. So for Black Friday, let me make sure this is actually sharing. It certainly is. For Black Friday, I told you guys we have our largest sale in history out right now. So this is actually, this course started in 2008. So it is literally the largest sale in 17 years of it being around. And I don't want to... I want to be smart here. I don't want to make our 2s upset. We're a loving community, right, 2s? So we're not going to get mad at this. But if you were a 2 in the chat, I would never want someone to think we're being disingenuous. So if you are a 2, that means you are a experienced trainee or grad. You've been here at least a month. Would you mind just verifying with a yes, if you're a 2, verifying with a yes in the chat that we have, in fact, never given $2,000 off the FDN course? Because you guys would know best. They're not going to necessarily believe me. So let me know if you're a 2, put a yes in the chat if we can confirm and verify that $2,000 is the best sale that you've seen on the FDN course. So I wanted to share with you guys what you get because you only have, at this point, what's California time right now? Like about 13 hours to get this figured out. So at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, That is when the Black Friday sale ends, 11:59 p.m. Pacific, California time. So what will you actually get for this? Well, of course, Leah talked about her personal experience, and I thought it was awesome. Thank you again for the transparency, by the way, with sharing that's a crazy number, 470 for 30K of profit. I feel like that is a thing in business that most people might not even ever go through. Maybe people aren't even trying to achieve those numbers. And I think if I was at those numbers and had that profit, I might think like, what the heck's going on, as you did too, but it's still something that can be fixed. And then like, look, you're better than ever now. But even with her personal experience, yours might be different. So what do you actually get in the course? Well, our goal for you is to graduate you in about 5 to 10 months. The reason that we have that time range is because it's a self-paced course. So we keep averages. Right now, people are graduating in about 8.5 to 9 months. How could I do this in 6 months, Ev? How much would I really have to put in? Realistically, we've done the numbers on this. If you truly could dedicate yourself, even without a medical background, to about 75, 90 minutes a day. So a little more like hour 15, hour and a half, which can seem very simple for some. We've had people, that have doctorates that go through this program. They're like, I only have to study for an hour and a half a day to get it through in 6 months. So depending on your background, that could sound very easy. For some of us, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine allotting that amount of time every single day for that. Well, that's why you have up to 12 months to graduate. But the 6 months thing, I'm just saying, if you wanted to get it done in about that time, be ready for summer and all that stuff, when people are trying to look good and fit, then you can do that very practically. We have over 5,000 graduates worldwide right now. We need a heck of a lot more. We love the health coaching programs that are out there. They're very good at attracting the average person. And there's nothing wrong. By the way, I was a health coach before FDN, so this is not like it's not bad to be average. But the problem is the health coaching places, they got hundreds of thousands of graduates, some of them at least. We got 5,000 grads. And look at what you're able to do as an FDN. So Reed always thinks about this. Reed's our founder. He's 72 years old. I'm not here to share his personal life, but I can assure you, Reed does not need to be working if he does not want to. Reed can go do something else at this point. I will promise you that. The 5,000 grads have helped him out. And he had over 10,000, 11,000 clients before he ever started with this. So the reason that Reed still is doing this every single day of the week, he's on meetings, he'll message you on weekends. I mean, the guy's a crazy guy in the best way possible. Why is he still doing that? Because he wants to see that be 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. So we need a heck of a lot more than that. And we would love for you to be a part of that. You'll also get access to well over 70 plus functional lab tests after you graduate. People always ask which ones. I've been here for 9.5 years. I've never not been able to get one that I wanted, and I haven't even used close to all of them. So I hope that answers it to some degree. We'll kind of skip just the first two there, but one thing I wanted you guys to know, and Leah kind of shared this, we've heard it indirectly throughout the rest of the month, you are not alone in this. One of the reasons that we've only attracted, 5,000 plus people so far instead of 100,000, because people see the curriculum and they're like, wow, this is tough.
Yeah.
This isn't a place I can just click a few buttons and graduate. Now, there's pros and cons to that. The con is it's not easy. The pro is when things aren't easy, that has the ability to give you actual credibility to go do something amazing, right? As Leah even said herself, look at the first couple of weeks after graduating FDN for her. People recognize the credibility and authority that you're talking with when you actually go through something tough, even if they have no idea what it is. Average person has no idea what an FDN is, but they do know when they're talking to someone who knows what they're talking about. I hope that makes sense. And you get our medical director program. This is still something I find so cool to this day. And I say to this day because even 9.5 years ago, there was not a lot of direct-to-consumer labs. This has come out a lot more. But one thing that our medical director program can still do that others can't is we don't just focus on the US and Canada. We can get you labs in Europe. We can get you labs in Asia. We can get you labs in South America. We certainly can get you labs in Australia and even different parts of Africa. We can do this worldwide, and that is 100% because of what our medical director program allows us to do. So that's something that you get as an FDN, which is great. These are the main areas that we're testing for in the foundational labs that you're going to learn while you're in the course. And by the way, those foundational labs are included in the cost of tuition. So Leah, you might be a little jealous like me about this. When you went through, how many labs were included? You went through several years ago?
There was 3.
Okay. So I had 2. I'll call it about the same for us. 3. Now, well, I'm super jealous now because they get all 5 foundational labs, including
Oh,
food sensitivity, plus the metabolic typing. So
yeah.
in your guys' tuition, even if you're on one of the payment plans, and I think if this doesn't show you that Reed is mission oriented, in addition to the 7 days a week of work that he does at 72 years old, I don't know what does. When you guys are on a payment plan, you can do the math of this. You could be 2 to 3 months into a 24-month payment plan with us and be getting lab tests. Now, if you do the math, you'll realize we lost money at that point. Reed literally is fronting it for you, banking on you continuing to pay because he believes in what he's doing that much that you're going to stick with us and do the right thing. So, just
Mm.
something to think about here. In those foundational labs, we're going over hormones, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. So that's what we're testing for in those foundational labs. It's not just one marker each. If you added up all the markers, oh my gosh, it's probably a couple hundred with all of these things together. I won't be able to go through all of this right now. That would be ridiculous and steal away from what we're about to get into with the Q&A and our live giveaways. But here is the overall breakdown of the modules and what you're going to get. So, of course, Module 1, got to introduce you to the FDN model and philosophy. You do need to understand what we do believe and don't believe. So the only woo-woo thing that's here, because this is not, how I love natural medicine, man, but some of it gets a little woo-woo. The only woo-woo thing here that you would ever hear is that the body has an innate healing ability. And we believe, you might believe something else. I believe God gave us that. Some people believe the universe gave us that. You're entitled to whatever you want to believe in terms of who gave us it. But I believe God gave us it, and I think our body has an innate healing ability. Now, what's crazy is that's the most woo-woo thing that we teach, and I can prove that it's real. Because if you've ever had a paper cut, or if you ever broke a bone, or if you ever strained a muscle, I don't know about you. I didn't have to go to a doctor for the paper cut. I also didn't have to command my finger, you will now heal in my name, and this will work. That's not how that happens, right? Something occurs where you get that paper cut, you go to bed, you wake up the next day, oh, it's scabbed. You go to bed, you wake up the day after that, well, looks a little bit better. You go to bed, maybe day 3 or day 4, you wake up, I don't even know I had a paper cut. That is what we're doing at FDN. So a paper cut's a micro version of this. The macro version are, unfortunately, cancers, autoimmune diseases, chronic gut issues, chronic skin issues. These things your body does not want these things, right? The body is actually trying to fight them with its innate healing ability, but the stress is outweighing its ability to heal. Imagine if I had that same paper cut, except every day on day 1, I just kept picking the scab again. Well, my paper cut would stay there forever. That's what's happening to all of us in this most simplistic way of saying it. So we use the tests and our philosophy to say, okay, we're going to allow the body to do what it does best. We don't have to heal anyone. We don't have to treat anything. We're going to show people what's wrong with them on the labs, help them address it, then the body does the work. That's the coolest part about it. So that's the philosophy in a nutshell. Then we dive into the deep stuff. You're going to get right into the science here. There is no fluff. I wouldn't call Module 1 fluff, but that'd be the closest thing to it if there was any. Module 2 and 3, we're getting right into stress and hormones and the biochemistry behind that. Don't need a background to learn it, but you better be paying attention and be good at taking notes. Module 4, metabolic health. 5, digestive health. 6, antigens and pathogens. This one's a bittersweet one, man. I actually kind of liked my life before I realized I had parasites in me. I didn't know that was a normal thing. But we do have to address them, and we got to get those guys if we're going to feel a lot better. Module 7, food sensitivities. In this next phase here, you're going to learn about the protocol development. So things like our metabolic typing diet. All of this will make more sense later. Advanced diet protocols. So what about someone that's super restricted on food or has candida or all those things? You'll figure out a way that is going to work for them. This module 10 through 13 is a doozy. This is all the lifestyle stuff that goes into it. So we are not just a lab, supplement, goodbye place. We actually believe that you probably wouldn't have gotten to the place that you were at with your health had you known about all the lifestyle stuff to begin with. But now you're sick enough that the lifestyle stuff alone doesn't work, or it's not enough. That's how most of us get into this world of FDN. We kind of end up in that middle ground. So we make sure that we teach you guys all of this stuff so that once your client has done the self-treatment protocols and worked on the things that we found from the labs, they never need us again, ideally. Or if they do, it's just a quick thing here and there, like, hey, can I look at one lab in particular, right? Reed says we don't want a revolving door practice. A revolving door practice, meaning they just keep coming back. That's not good. This is the toughest part. but it's the part that separates FDNs from just people that, with all due respect, click a few buttons and get their certification somewhere else. This is where you do the practicals. So in module 14, you are meeting all of this, is one-on-one, not a group, one-on-one with your mentor. Module 14, you're going to go over your own lab results. We don't just have you run the labs because we're bored. We want you to be your own first client. So you're actually going to spend a few sessions here with your mentor going over what exactly is happening in your body, making sure that you understand it yourself and getting you a protocol so that you can be the best that you've ever been health-wise. The practical exercises and role reversal is now the mentor is not the one teaching you about the protocol. You are going to act as if the mentor is your client because you get these lab results from them. Obviously, they're not their lab results, but it's clients that we've had over time where their names are omitted. And you will now be the practitioner for that mentor there in those cases. There's multiple practicals that you will do. And then you got through it, man. You're going through your final exams, your client onboarding. Most people consider the practicals the hardest just because you get a little bit nervous, right, presenting it. And I totally get that. But again, that's what separates this from just a click and get your certification type of course. You finish up module 16, man, and you're done. And then you get to go be an FDN and you can do the things that Leah's been doing. You can do the things that Kelsey Weaver's been doing in the beginning of our intro series, or Brueggemann or Ryan Monahan or Jen Cena or all these other people that have been here with us through this month. And so how much does it cost? This is my final share here. And then we will get to the first giveaway and only Q&A, and I will shut up, I promise. So, wow, this timer is looking low. It's not 45 minutes, so maybe our team can fix that here because I don't want to scare them here. I promise this is good until the end of the day, California time. It's not only 45 minutes. That'd be pretty good hard selling here on the webinar, but it's not 45 minutes. You have at least 12, 13 hours to get it figured out. There's 3 payment options you can use and a 4th third-party one. So you get up to $3,500 in savings for the paying in full. So it's $9,497. These are all in USD for our international folks. That's going to be $9,497 USD. You always get these 2 bonuses if you pay in full. That applies any time of the year. I don't want you to think that's just for Black Friday. That would be misleading. But the sale certainly is for Black Friday. And then you get these additional bonuses on top of it, which is really cool. If you do a 12-month payment plan, then it will be $966 a month. And if you do a 24-month payment plan with the sale, it'll be $508 per month. So you see what I'm saying about that math, by the way? It's like, well, wait, Ev, aren't the labs like over $1,000 that you're including? And then if I've only been here for 3 months and I paid $1,500, you guys give me $1,000 plus of labs and the one-on-one mentorship? That's how Reed is, man. I don't think I'd be the same, to be dead honest, but I'm not the one running a huge company like this. So maybe he knows something I don't about trusting people. So he thinks that it's going to help you guys enough that you'll continue sticking with him, which is amazing. And then, here are the 4th options if you do need them. Understand these 3, well, these 2 really, let's say with the payment plans, they are in-house. No credit check. Doesn't go on a loan report. Doesn't affect you in any way if you're buying a house or a car or whatever. This has 0 effect whatsoever. There is no check. It does not matter for anything like that. It is just on good faith for us here at FDN. But if you do want a different option, there sometimes can be better ones depending on your situation, in which case you could use these loan options for either USA or Canada. Sorry for the rest of our international folks. We do not have any others outside of this. And understand that those are third party. They are credit checks. And yes, they would be on a loan report or a credit report, just like a car loan or something else. So just something to keep in mind there. And we'll drop the link below so you guys can get on it. Let's see if anyone yelled at me in the chat. Good. No one yelled at me for talking. Awesome. And you know why? Because they know I'm about to give away stuff, Leah. So they're like, all right, better be on good behavior. All right, let's get to this prize wheel here. I am going to actually, I'll let you do one question first if you don't mind. So I have to transfer the name to the wheel. So here we go. We'll start with Natalie here. This was from a while ago. I loved it, though. Personal question, if you're open to answering, and you don't have to answer any of these.
Yeah.
How is managing your business while being pregnant? And what strategies would you change or adjust looking back to make things easier on you?
Okay, so when I first started my business, like I said, my husband was in a doctorate program. So if anybody's like familiar with doctor programs, I never saw him. So that part I didn't really have to worry about because he was gone all day at school. And then he obviously had to do his internships and his practicals. And literally he was gone all the time. And then I had to go to work. So we were ships passing in the dark, unfortunately, for a while. So part of this, I think my first kiddo was just a little bit chill, but he was on every call with me. Literally every call. He was in a baby carrier. I remember putting like whatever. I also had a really old computer that you could probably go mail a letter before it would boot anything up. And I would put it on a cabinet. So it was like eye height because I didn't have a standing desk or anything. And I would have the baby in the baby carrier and I would be bouncing him and that's how I did calls. So you just make it work. Take full advantage of nap times, work whenever you have a second there. One of the things that I do now that I kind of wish maybe I would have done in the past is I deleted email off of my phone, because when you own your own business, you absolutely never, ever, ever, like it never leaves your mind completely. And so by deleting email off my phone, and work apps will shut down at certain times of the night, like it is really helpful that you can't work. You can't physically work unless you go get your computer. And so that has been probably the most useful for me in setting boundaries for my family and my kiddos. I don't know if that helps at all, but
I'm going to throw you another one just because some of these people that are duplicates, I know them and trust them. So I do think it might have been a form issue, and I want to assume best.
yeah.
So I'm deleting their extra names. All right. If you could go back, and this was also Natalie, if you could go back in time, what tools, strategies, or hires would you have made sooner given the multitude of personal experiences you were going through? What a smart question.
So Morgan, who's been my right-hand person for the longest, and then Caitlin is one of my head coaches. I probably would have gone back and trained. Morgan didn't need any training, but Caitlin trained her up a little bit sooner to take over some things. Would probably be one of the biggest things I would have done there. And if I could go, I mean, I don't know if I would go back and change anything, because like I said, I learned a million ways not to do something. When people are like, oh, it failed, it didn't work. No, it didn't. You learned how to not do something. And that's equally important. I used to have a horse. I used to train horses. And when you would do something and the horse didn't respond the way you wanted, it wasn't a failure. It was, oh, guess the horse doesn't like that. I'm going to try a different way. And that's really how I've looked at business as well. And so I think something that would have been useful is probably bringing everything in-house. So when I was starting to outsource some things, I did have a core team. So I had Morgan, who did like my OBM, like all behind the stuff. I had Caitlin, who is my head coach. And then I had Lauren and Rebecca, who they're freelancers, I guess is what they would come in and do, like one-off jobs. They helped with some social media and things like that. I would have brought them up to do other things sooner, because they are my core team now. And they do a lot of what everybody sees front facing. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So I don't know if it would have made a difference back then, because we've all learned a lot from the experiences for sure.
Awesome. We'll do one more. Kimberly, where did you discover the bulk of your $470,000 in revenue and $30,000 profit was being? Well, sorry. Okay. Where was the bulk of that being wasted? Was it taxes, marketing? Well, taxes will always get you, but what else?
Yeah, taxes suck. I actually didn't lose that much on taxes that year because I didn't make any money, so it was fine. So honestly, the biggest ones were like my core monthly costs. So one of the things when I was scaling this, one of my big goals was to step back from a lot of the day-to-day. And that's how I was hiring. So I just wanted to be able to oversee the clients and oversee labs. And that's what I was trying to stay in and step out of the marketing, which is where things went quite awry. And so a lot of it, I would say one of the biggest things that just completely down the drain was somebody that we hired for ads. Great at marketing herself. My first red flag with her should have been like the price she quoted. And then I came back and talked to her 6 weeks later to hire her and the price was different. That should have been like my first red flag of like, that is a significantly different price. You are a interesting person. But that was not, and we ended up on going with her. And that was where a large amount of the money went. Ads that weren't converting due to the people running them. Yeah, I would say that's kind of where the bulk of it went. We also did trademark my stuff at that time. So trademark lawyers are expensive. So that was just a one-off thing though. That's not like a continuing thing, but that was expensive. So yeah, I would say marketing would be the biggest one.
Awesome. Yeah. So okay, you're getting me only because you were correct. I do love the marketing side. We've actually talked about stuff before,
Yeah.
Leah and I. So it's like with marketing, especially the gold standard, if you can figure this out, is how do I spend $1 today, but also get the dollar back within 24 hours? Because then at least I have a lead, right? So even if I literally was selling a $1 product but got $1 back, that's phenomenal because now I have leads that I can work with and I got them for free. If I gave any of you guys 1,000,000 leads tomorrow for free, you could have the worst email marketing in the world, the poorest written offer, and if you send it to 1,000,000 people, you are going to probably make hundreds of thousands of dollars overnight. Let alone if you're actually good at all that stuff. That's a whole separate conversation. So yeah, it's really tricky because then what happens is we can start spending too much, and either the cycle with which I get the money back takes too long, and most of us are not billionaires, so we run out of it. There's actually this great quote by a guy, you might know him, Dan Kennedy. He's kind of like an OG in copywriting and stuff. And I'm not saying this wrong because it'll confuse people for a second, and it took me forever to figure out what the heck he meant. Whoever can spend the most money to acquire the customer wins. Whoever can spend the most money to acquire the customer wins. And so if you wonder why the Amazons and the Nikes and these people continue to keep winning, it's because they can spend the most money to acquire the customer. Did you guys know Amazon loses money on being able to ship in a day or two? They lose money on that. But if you're a Prime member, you spend $1,400 more on a year on average. So they make up for it. They ship it to you fast so that you keep using it, and they make up for it because you spend more with them. So sorry, you guys, I haven't talked fully in like an hour. You guys know that's impossible for me. I had to throw something in. Let's do this giveaway. Let's get your prize wheel going for you guys, and then we'll continue the Q&A. I have my wheel of names here. Here we go. And by the way, I refreshed a bunch of times. I know this is actually a lot of people. But still, I made sure all the viewers that wanted to be on got on. This is every single name. I deleted the duplicates. So even if you did duplicate, I still gave you one of the names. I'm not going to call anyone out. And I'm going to just, again, hope that you meant that in good faith here still. So I wanted to make sure it's coming up on my end. Perfect. Here we go, guys. This first prize wheel giveaway is going to be for one of two $100 Amazon gift cards. One of two $100 Amazon gift cards. Here we go. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Who do we got? Who do we got? We have, All right, Nissa Seaton, congratulations. Nissa, you have won this. So let's get that in the chat for her, guys. I'm not going to be able to do this really quick. I'm on a different screen. So team, if you could just put in the FDN info email for me, please. Nissa, just go there, email us, prove that you are this person, and we will send you a $100 Amazon gift card. If I'm not mistaken, actually, they're even digital, so it can be really easy to get it to you. Sorry if it's not, but that will be the first winner here, so congrats. I want everyone to be able to win the advanced course because that's not fair to like take you away from that. Nissa, I'm just going to copy your name. I'm just removing you for the next Amazon gift card. Okay. And then I will put you back in for the advanced course because anyone can win that. So we'll remove you from that. You guys can see it went down to 46 when it was at 47 before. We'll now spin again for another $100 Amazon gift card. All right, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Ooh, all right, we got Haley Schlick. Congratulations. So you are the winner of the second $100 Amazon gift card. So please, again, go. Our team's putting this in the chat right now. Well, I'm having faith that they are because I can't see it. So it's
They are.
Thank you, Leah. It's fdninfo@afdnp.com. Just email us, prove that you're actually Haley, and we will make sure to send that over to you. And see, this is coming out of my soul right now. The team knows Ev goes rogue on every single live that we do. Now, the problem is, and I told our dear friend Leah this beforehand, I have been very clearly told to stop giving away multiple advanced courses without permission. So that's a fair request. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give away a third Amazon gift card, though, just for fun. 2 does not feel right. I think we got to go 300 for this because that'd be the exact same thing as the first keynote. That's not exciting, right? So do me a favor. Drop a yes in the chat if we should get a third $100 Amazon gift card here. And Haley, what I'm going to do with you then is I'm going to remove you again from this Amazon one only, and we'll put you back in for the advanced course. So you can see they got removed. We are now down to 45 entries. I'm going to assume that some yeses are going to be coming in soon for this. Someone even said I thought it was 2 drawings. I can use chat. Sorry, you're so sweet, whoever that was. That was an actual winner there. That could have been. So this is the third, and I promise final, Amazon gift card for $100. Let's do it. All right, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Oh.
Wow. Dang, this is a brutal prize wheel, man. It makes one person goes to the next. Dina Newkirk, I know Dina well, so she's always in our chats and always being so supportive. Super glad that you just got this. Congrats. Dina, just message us fdninfo@afdnp.com. Prove that you're Dina, and we will give you that third and final $100 Amazon gift card. All right, I do not need to remove Dina because we're going to do the advanced course one now, okay? And then we'll get back to the Q&A and only Q&A for the remainder of our 30 minutes here. So everyone can watch me to make sure it's all fair. Remember, we're at 44 because I removed a chat that said I did 2 accidentally. Sorry. So we have all the names from before. I'm now going to go back to Haley and Nissa. Oops, sorry about that. We're going to put them in right here. And you can see that we've gone back from 44 to 46. Both those names are back on the prize wheel. So we're doing everything in integrity here. I would never want someone to feel like they didn't get this. For the advanced course, and you'll be able to choose from like one of 5 or 6 of these. I'm sorry, I actually genuinely can't remember offhand, but once you email us, we'll give you the list that you can choose from. So if you have one of our advanced courses already, not a big deal. You can choose from one that you don't. And good luck. We got a little drum roll, please, with the desk here. Here we go. All right, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be, baby? Oh, no way. No way.
Wow, Nissa.
Oh, God, the freaking staff's going to kill me. I can't do that. Nissa, you're going to get your advanced course. I'm literally going to get fired from this company. All right, I want to say it's been awesome. It has been a pleasure serving you all. I can't do this. This happened last time when we didn't even use the damn prize wheel. This is what we were trying to avoid. Nissa, not that I don't want you to have the Amazon gift card and advanced course. You will get that. You get both of those things. Guys, we can't. That can't be. We got to have a fresh winner for an advanced course. So Brandy, our COO, I'm saying a little prayer. Nicole, who runs our advanced courses, I'm saying a little prayer. Just remember, Ev brings some joy to your day. So don't be mad at me for going rogue again. This is crap. I got scammed by the prize wheel. So, Nissa, you were getting removed, but you did win an advanced course as well. So congrats. Let's get another spin for another advanced course here. I feel like I'd be such a gambling addict. This is terrible. I get like so excited about it. All right, we got someone new. Oh my gosh, Anderini just joined the course. Okay, so at least this is fresh. Anderini, well, good choice in joining FDN, I guess, because you also just got an advanced course of your choosing. So Anderini, do us a favor, fdninfo@afdnp.com, get your advanced course. And Nissa, we will get you your Amazon and advanced course. And I am going to close my magic prize wheel again before Ev loses his job, because we were literally told, just don't give away multiple advanced courses, Ev, and somehow I do it again. Question time. Lexi asked, what advice would you give for someone setting up their business as an FDN, specifically how to decide what your program will be in marketing, spending the money on a coach, and anything else? So Lexi is actually in her practicals. I know her, and she's about to be finished up. So what advice would you give her?
I don't necessarily think you need to spend money on a coach. And the reason why I say that is I feel incredibly blessed that I just stumbled upon one that was awesome because, like I said, people are really good at marketing themselves. So I would make sure that you're choosing wisely. But honestly, your story. So you're going to be storytelling is what converts, and you're only going to be able to share your storytelling honestly and with conviction if it's yours or, somebody's that you've walked through that journey with. Maybe that's a family member, maybe that's a friend. So I would just say, what's near and dear to your heart? What have you walked through? And there's your program.
Someone said this to buy a lottery ticket today. I'm not recommending it, but it'd be a good day for you, I think. Rupina, is there an FDN collaboration? Okay, this might be for me. Is there an FDN collaboration directory where we can work with other FDNPs in a similar niche? It feels too daunting to go it alone. Well, I'd actually like to know, Leah, your feedback on this as well. The direct answer is no. Your best bet would be to be in the graduate group,
Yeah.
and share what you bring to the table, and then see what else someone else brings to the table. So, and Rupina, I know her as well. I want to say this correctly. So think about in the business partnership. Like, let's say I was going to Leah and I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
let's be partners, Leah.
Mhm.
Well, now ideally we'd be 50-50 partners. So that
Yeah.
means Leah's going to make 50% less on the business. Now, they always say in business, getting a smaller percentage of a watermelon is better than getting a whole grape. And so what that means is if I only got half of a watermelon, of course, objectively, that's more food, more fruit, more money in this case than a grape.
Mhm.
So the thing is, though, we need to make sure that we're bringing something to the table. And the only reason I'm saying it like this is because you just mentioned it feels too daunting to go at it alone. So here's something that you could bring to the table. You find someone else who's scared, and maybe you're both too scared to do it by yourself, or I'll use the words that you did. Maybe for both of you, it feels too daunting, and you're able to support each other and give each other that courage. I'd be careful there, though, because you don't want those feelings to kind of make each other worse. Um, and Leah knows this. Ryan Monahan and I are business partners. We've been friends for years before we became business partners. So here's what I offer. I love the business side. Again, Leah and I have even talked back and forth about marketing stuff. We didn't end up doing that, but we've talked about it. I love the marketing. I love the sales. I love the systems. I love finding the smallest little thing and editing it and being like, wow, we just changed nothing for our customers. So they're still happy, but we converted at a much higher rate. That's what gets me going. It's nerdy. Ryan is the guy that is going to sit there, and he's fully capable of studying business, by the way. He's a brilliant man.
Yes.
I don't know if I can plug this. Are we allowed to say what he's done for you before because of how cool he is, or no?
Go for it,
Okay.
Ryan. I
So,
work with Ryan.
all right, awesome. I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was private or not. So
I
actually, just so you guys
work
know
with
how
him.
lucky I am, Leah, with how impressive her business is, Ryan was one of the people chosen to kind of help out on the clinical side while she was on maternity leave, which I would say that's probably one of the best compliments you can get in the world of FDN. So he's that guy. He'll go through all the advanced courses. He's taken this one outside of FDN. He's taken that thing. He was a clinical advisor here. So that's his zone of genius. That's what he brings to the table. This is what I bring to the table. So it makes sense for us to go 50-50 because I'm like, Ryan, I can do all that crap that you don't want and in turn make you more money. And then Ryan's like, listen, I know that you like Health Ev, but I know you're never going to sit here and do all the clinical stuff that I am. So I can provide the clients that you bring us more value, which leads to more referrals, better satisfaction, and also leads to more money. So I know that's a bit long-winded, but you do have to think whenever you want to go into something with someone else, what do I bring to the table? And Leah, I don't know if you've ever partnered with anyone in that way, but I would like to turn this to you somehow. Like, how would you go about partnering with an FDN, or is that something that you'd even do?
Um, I don't have the capacity to do that. So I won't be. But what I have done in the past, or what I would consider doing in the future, is I actually have a lot of past clients who have become FDNs and started a business just because like their health transformation, they're like, I want to go on and help people. And I have helped them. I have been like a business advisor. And so there's multiple ways to go about it. One way that I have seen, which is really smart, is like kind of like a silent partner. Basically, they're committing to giving you a percentage of the profit for however many years, you know, with you working with them. And typically, it's like for a couple years, you're going to make a percentage of profit.
Awesome. All right. Leah, could you please describe to us how your onboarding process is designed with Go High Level?
It's very basic. They buy, they get a welcome email. It has their login details for the training modules, and it has a video from me telling them what their next steps are, how to navigate the training modules, their forms that they need to fill out. And then within 24 to 48 hours, they get a welcome email from their touchpoint coach laying out the next steps. It's automated, except for the touchpoint coach.
Nice and simple. Another question from OB again. Apart from using your HIPAA compliant Go High Level, and for those who don't know, Go High Level does have a version for that, do you still need a platform like Practice Better or Biocanic to streamline your business?
You don't. It would be one or the other. I will say, not tech savvy. Go High Level has gotten a lot better than what it used to be. Like it has gotten much more streamlined. If you hate tech, please don't join Go High Level. You will pull your hair out. Like Go High Level is a very robust platform and it does what I need it to do. I don't necessarily think it's something you want to start with, especially if you're just like automations, tags, like what on earth, because you will get overwhelmed and you won't start. Practice better. Practice better, like you can put together in your sleep. I was not tech savvy and I could do practice better. So you can do practice better.
That's funny. And I agree with you. I'm trying to think of an analogy, but I can't off the top of my head. Go High Level it's like a dream for someone that wants all the little crap, but you have to even know that the little crap's beneficial or have a necessity for it. Most businesses don't even need that. And OB, just so you know, Biocanic actually is white labeled Go High Level. So their whole platform is on there. So that if you are considering and you like Go High Level, that would be a very obvious choice in that case.
Yeah.
Practice Better is also fantastic. They do a lot of things right as well. Okay. Natalie, again. Leah, how do you offer financing for your payment plans? Are those in-house or do you use Klarna?
I do both. So we do an in-house payment plan, and then especially for like clients outside of the US, we'll do the in-house payment plan. And then we do also offer, we use a firm, but we do also use that.
And just so you guys know, this is only for US-based clients, but we do have access to something called the Advanced Care Card. Now, what's cool is even if you are in Canada and you're selling to US-based clients, that's why I'm saying it that way, it still works. The business can be wherever, the clients have to be in the US. And so the Advanced Care Card, if they get approved for it, is actually a credit card. But it's specifically for health businesses and like certain things that get approved like us. And it can offer them 0% financing for 15 months with, this is the important part. Well, that other part's pretty cool too, but no prepayment penalties. So if 15 months sounds too long for someone, because sometimes, guys, there's a lot of psychology that goes into this. Sometimes even a smaller amount over 15 months sounds very intimidating, right? So some people might want 5 months, 6 months, 7, whatever it is. The good news about no prepayment penalties with 0% interest for 15 months is it means technically you just got every payment plan from 1 month to 14 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you really can make it whatever they want. So just a cool little trick there. We can talk to you guys all about that once you are graduated and getting clients. Chris, hey, Leah, any advice for those who hate social media? There are a lot of us. Fair enough.
Get over it. Like, I know that is probably the meanest thing to say, but truly just get over it. No, I don't like who likes social media. In that instance, I think Ev, you build a lot of your business, one of your businesses in person, and so it can be done. We're actually finally branching to in person, and I've been giving in person trainings and workshops and things like that, and they convert. I will say, in person converts higher, much higher, like almost 50%, which is like wild if you think about that. So very worth it. But at the same time, like when I go in person and I give a talk, what do? I'm going to go Google her. And they want to see a presence or something. They want to see other things. So at some level, you will have to get over it and share some things. I do think that your face is going to be your biggest selling point because people will connect with you. But I do know there's a lot of people that do like text and graphic first, and there's a lot of marketers that teach that. I don't teach really marketing, so I just can tell you what I did.
That was indeed the most blunt thing I've ever heard from you. It's certainly not bad. I mean, you're hanging out on a platform that Reed and I hang out on, so you're doing fine. Like you'd have to compete to get to the bluntest answer. But you know what? And guys, this is what I always say. Here's the thing. There's a few ways and few types of groups that you can talk to. You can do in person to random audiences or maybe like local audiences, like Leah just said. You can do social media. I think this would be very annoying to only do this, but you could just talk to friends and family and hope for the best there. And you should be serving them anyway. It's statistically 50% of them are going to have a chronic disease, right? Most people are not immune to this. You could have some type of referral-based thing with another professional. But like, or paid ads, which
Mhm.
Leah is very smart, despite how humble she is. I think it's pretty obvious that she's a sharp cookie. Like, she's willing to learn and take the risks, whatever. And you saw how badly that got burnt, even as someone who was already experienced. So you have these 5 main ways. All of them have only one thing in common: they require us to get out of our comfort zone to some degree and to put ourselves out there. Now, some are more uncomfortable than others. Yes, it is way easier for me to look at the number of live people right now on a screen than to have this exact same amount in person. Even as a professional speaker, I still understand, or my body does not understand, rather, the difference. Because I don't get as nervous, right? I don't feel the same way that I do here. I don't feel the same level of tiredness either after I'm
Mhm.
done a live with Leah and that as I would in person. So there's a scale to it, but out of these 5, that's it. Someone has to have some way that they know that you exist. That's it. Now, the great news with our business, and this is why people might be like, well, how does social media work and in person? How does all this stuff work for FDN? Unfortunately, it's because so many people are sick. If I
Mhm.
have 10 random people in a room, statistically, I'm speaking for Americans right now.
Mhm.
This is not something that we should be bragging about. But in America right now, if I have 10 people in a room, 50% of them have some type of chronic symptom or disease.
Mhm.
So that's why that works. It wouldn't necessarily be this straightforward or, dare I say, easy. If it was a very niche thing, like if I was trying to sell, let's go to Go High Level again, a specific automation system in a very specific email sequence that's used for car sales managers to help recruit more people. Okay, that's I can't just go give a local in-person talk for that. That's going to be very tough to get those people there. I'm going to have to target them in a specific way. So this works because of the industry, to be clear. And also talking to my friends and family, that would be maybe 1 out of 100 would know a car sales manager well enough to get me on the phone with them. And that's probably generous. Maybe it's even less than that. So this works, unfortunately, because so many people are sick. So you can choose any of those 5. You can talk to friends and family. You can risk everything with paid ads if you don't know what you're doing. And I'd be careful with that, like we all said. In-person talks, make a referral type thing with a local chiropractor, acupuncturist, whatever. Do the social media thing, but you gotta figure out which way you're going to put yourself out there. So just
Mhm.
something to think about. All right. By the way, I wanted to ask you here because I think I know that you guys have some questions or comments, but I don't see any more questions. Now, a word to the wise would be if I have someone that's going to be making 7 figures next year, I would do more than just stare at her. I'd probably ask her questions since she's on for free. That's my humble opinion. I'll ask you a question. So you said
Mhm.
that they convert higher, 50% in person. Have you
Yeah.
also found that conversion cycle, like, so let me word it this way. So someone
Yeah.
follows you on social, which I'm sure you
Mhm.
can track somehow with some of the chat functions.
Yep.
They follow you on social or end up on your email list to the time of buying
Yep.
versus someone comes to an in-person workshop to their time of buying. So not only does in-person convert
Yeah.
higher, I would go so far as to probably guess it converts faster. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
It does. Yeah. It converts higher. It converts faster. And so I fronted my own money to go speak at a retreat for women. And they asked me to come on, but like I paid for my flight. And 50% of those women worked with me after that. And the other speakers referred clients that bought and paid. So like it was well worth my investment to do that. And that's when I was like, maybe in person does convert pretty well. Especially like I know someone said family and friends aren't the least compliant are the least compliant. And I agree with that. And it's kind of one of those things where the saying don't preach in your hometown comes from. And that's why I went to social media because they weren't my friends and my family. And so I could share my experience there without people being like, well, Leah, you used to eat Skittles for breakfast. So why should I believe what you have to say? So that kind of opened up that stream. And then when I go and give talks at other places, if they bring you in, you're coming in as the expert, which is also kind of a point there as well.
I know that you're not sitting here every single day because you're a busy person watching all of our lives and podcasts and stuff. But
Mhm.
the reason I emphasize that is because Leah, when I say, I mean, it's got to be 2 or 3 times a week. I
Yeah.
bring up to them that the in-person talks still work. Now,
Mhm.
what's kind of sad is some of them do it. A lot of FDNs do it, but if I've said it to 1,000, 2,000 people, I'd be lucky if 50, and
Mhm.
that's generous, have actually done
Yeah.
it. They always ask, well, how could I get my tuition back? How could I do this?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this live too. I only say it at the end of lives because I only want people to hear this that are actually serious about
Mm-hmm.
this. And I would never want someone in 10 minutes buying FDN on a
Mm-hmm.
whim just because I said this. So I have the EV Talk guarantee. And if you need it in writing, email us. I don't care. I'll put it in writing for you. But I've also been here. You can go back for podcasts for 5.5 years. I'm not going to go anywhere. Unless they kick me out after giving away advanced courses and Amazon gift cards that I don't have the authority to give out. That could be a thing too. But my EV guarantee for you is that I have never seen some FDN graduate do 3 to 4 talks with one of our lecture packages and not get their tuition back. And I am purposely underestimating what's possible with it because if I'm being transparent, I actually think you're going to get it in 1 to 2. I've done $10,000 off one in-person talk. That's not even that good if you have a larger audience, but literally I have made tuition back in an hour and a half talk. And then I had to do the discovery calls, of course. So if I added up maybe 2.5 hours worth of discovery calls plus an hour and a half for the talk. So 4 hours of actual work all in that, like, I had to be scheduled in there for something. I mean, that's a decent return on investment, I would say. I'm okay with it. And so I literally, if you go out and you take our lecture packages, just one, you don't have to do 3 to 4 different ones. That's not what I said. One of them is all I'm asking for. And if you pay in full, you'll get one of those for free anyway. So you get a lecture package, you go give that 3 to 4 times. I'm not going to check every little thing. I'm not here. I'm not like that. I feel like you'd be a very weird person if you did that disingenuously anyway. So all I'm asking is that you just take a little picture or selfie of yourself while you're at the talk, which you totally should do regardless, because that's good for social media and all that kind of stuff. If you have not made your tuition back in clients after those 3 to 4 talks, doing them the way that we asked on the lecture package, I will coach you for free until you make your tuition back. That is an Evan Transu guarantee. I have never once in all these years of doing this had one person be able to call me on that because they make the money back or they just don't do it.
Yeah, I could see that working.
Yeah.
So well. You do have to get over yourself at some point and be okay, like messing up.
Yeah. Chris, this was the same person that had asked about social media. So thank God. Chris was an educator. So in person, it's absolutely their wheelhouse. I'm adapting a lecture package. Yeah, that's game over for you, my friend.
Do it.
Like Leah said, though, have a minimum. Even me, guys, if you look at my personal stuff, I'm not a social media guy. I suck at Instagram, all this stuff, but I at least make sure it looks somewhat professional and that you know I exist when you go and search me. And then I do most of the stuff for FDN. Like, I'd rather build their stuff than my personal things. So I get you. I'm not a social media guy in that sense either, but have something that they can look at when they search you. To Leah's point, that's a really good one. But if you can do that in-person thing, Chris, you don't even need to do anything else. That's how well this works. You literally can build a 6-figure FDN business, I promise you, from just doing those talks. Jessica shouted out some business coaches here, and that's great. Thank you. I can't personally recommend them. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't know. Well, Smart Coach, I think. Do you mean Smart Marketer, Jessica? Is that who is that? Ezra Firestone? Because I've taken one of their courses. Do you mind sharing your business coach? Because someone did ask that and I lost that question.
I mean, I'm happy to share. She doesn't do business coaching anymore, though.
Okay.
Her name is Kara Baroni, but she does more nervous system. If you want a good business coach, though, I will. Lauren Najar, Najar, is fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll get a couple more here. OB again, did you create your webinar that converts, or was it an offshoot from the FDN lecture package? Thanks.
So it is my own. I have gone through reads though, just to like get a feel for what his are like. But I am not going to lie, I've sat through a lot of lecture packages to be like, what works, what doesn't work, what do I want to put into mine.
Can we add this? And I'm only doing these follow-ups because like we only have so many questions. So this is kind of nice. I love when we get to do this actually. Webinar conversion. Just so people have realistic standards here. Let's say we had 10 people. 10's an easy number. 10 people in person. You said about 50% versus 10 people on a webinar. Would you say that there is a lot more thought, psychology, and strategy that goes into a 50% conversion to 10 people on a webinar than in person?
So if I was going to get a 50% conversion online versus...
Yeah, like I want to set the standard for people so they know what's realistic.
I don't know if you would get that with a cold. I don't think you could.
And by the way, if you are, please hit up both Leah and I, because you want to get a partner, we'll both partner with you.
Yeah.
If you're getting 15% conversions on your webinar, I'm going to tell FDN, like, hey, I'm sorry, I got to go, and I'll send you guys a check because we'd be making so much to be good to go. But I just wanted to explain that to you guys. Not OB, I know that you've been on enough of these to get it, but some people might think, oh, cool, I can take the lecture packages, which can be used as webinars, and just do it online. I wish I knew exactly what it is. I mean, we kind of all know this intuitively that we trust people more in person. If you gave a talk to 10 people on the webinar and you did the exact same lecture package, if you had told me, hey, I didn't sell any of the 10, I wouldn't even call that bad yet. I wouldn't call it bad until you've done like 100 and told me what your conversion rate is. 100 people, sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But in person, no. If you do 10 and you do not get a client, red flags already went up. I'm like, something went wrong. That's how much better in person is than online in that sense.
And the other thing too is you have to do enough to get numbers. I'll see sometimes new grads will be like, I had 3 calls and I didn't close 3 calls. And I was like, well, great. Get back to me after you've done 100 calls, because I have a closer that closed at 45% rate. And she'll have like 4 calls in a row she won't close, and then she has 4 calls in a row that she closes. So you have to average it out over the month. So you have to get some reps in.
Man, I can't even afford you, but I'm like, how could I get you in to do some more business talks for our grads? Because this is, I mean, you almost just said word for word what we said a few weeks ago on one of our business masterminds. Like, if this person's on, I love you. It's a good learning opportunity.
Yeah.
She had said, she was literally saying, I feel like terrible. I haven't gotten 1 sale yet. And we asked her, and it was 1 more than the one that you just said. She's like, I've done 4. Like, have you ever taken a sales call for anything in your life? No. Okay. And your closer, just so everyone's very clear of this, in high ticket sales, if someone's closing at 45%, I hope they're not watching because I don't want to hype them up too much. You make sure that person's paid very well. Leah knows this. I'm just talking in general now, because that's damn good for a high ticket thing. But even that, so let's say that like that's great, 45%. People hear that, Leah, and I think why you emphasize this is because they don't actually think about what that means. That means over half, not by much, but over half, even in that case, got on the phone with you. You poured your heart out. You gave them the 45 minutes, an hour. And you know what they said? No. Yeah. And that is tough for people to swallow. A good high ticket range, like something that'll keep your job at a place at a high ticket, 20 to 30% conversions, which means 7 to 8 out of 10 people that you got on the phone with, nope. And you gave them the same effort and all that stuff, nope. And that would still be considered a decent conversion rate on high ticket sales calls. So something to think about. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to know this from you, actually. How do you market your talks? Are you advertising a niche specific talk or general demographic, but specific health issue and problem?
Very niche. So we do run ads, but people see my ads and they're like, oh, I need to run ads. I only run $2,000 a month on ads, you guys. Like, if you look at health businesses out there, like, I mean, Dr. Axe, for example, like, it's like a penny compared to how much he runs on ads. Dr. Pompa, like, I don't run that much on ads. So my podcast, I market it on my podcast. So you can do something called, dynamic ads, where I like make an ad for the talk and it drops into all my episodes, which that's cool. I just learned about that recently. And so it will drop into all my episodes while we're promoting it. I promote it on social media. I promote it to my email list, which you should have an email list. I didn't know about email list when I started. I didn't even know that you could like send out an email blast. So that was cool, but I do that. I have, I don't know, like 15, 16,000 on my email list or something. So I promote it everywhere. We typically have a minimum of 500, 600 people that sign up for a free training.
Awesome. All right, guys, we have a Q&A session that's going to be happening with the founder, Reed Davis, the COO, education director, and myself right after this in 5 minutes. It's on your guys' calendar for Zoom. Couple things here. Let's get a final thank you. Please follow Leah. I mean, you can find her right on Instagram. I put it in the thing below here so you guys can see that. Go to her website. You never know if you're going to have someone in your life that might benefit from working with her. I mean, it's the least that we can ask of you to do today, please. By the way, you can probably learn a thing or two by following her on Instagram about the social side, see what she's doing. I don't steal something, but you can learn the strategy and see, is there any pattern here? Is what's working better than not? There's nothing wrong with that. We all encourage everyone to do that and learn from each other. Now, Leah, I would like to ask you something. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, not in a bad way, but just kind of funny. So you are doing great. You're on maternity leave this year. There's a million other things that you could be doing. FDN asked you to do this, of course, which I know that maybe in a sense you're just like, oh yeah, I respect that. But we can't offer our keynote speakers anything. If we we'd insult you guys, because if we paid you what you're worth, we probably couldn't afford to do it all the time. So I have to ask, why were you even interested in speaking to all these people today when we can't pay you? There's nothing that you got out of this. And just so they know this, like, we're not paying Leah. We didn't do anything like that. Why did you take the time to put this together and speak to our audience today?
It's really good practice.
Okay.
It really is good practice. Like, you know how you get better at speaking? You do reps. And that's how you get better, is like, you just have to do it. So that is the biggest thing. But also, I have a lot of past clients that have joined FDN, and they will send me messages and just thank me for A, changing their life with their health, and then B, changing their life with business. So I know that it can make a really big difference in people's lives. And I don't think anybody, I mean, maybe some people just get into it for the money, but I think if you are doing anything in the health space, you also truly want people to get better and see a difference. And you get to the top by raising people up with you.
Yep. Thank you. Well, yeah, if you guys are just looking to make money, I can get you into a lot better things than this, right? So it's got to be a balance in life where you can follow your passion, you can follow your heart, and there's a way to get paid for it. So I just like that you said that. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. And in fact, when you start getting, I've said this a few times over the intro series, when you start getting referrals from people that paid you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, I want you to think about how much work you must have done for their lives and how much you changed their lives. Because I don't know about you guys, I don't generally refer my friends and family to multi-$1,000 things unless it was pretty darn worth it and it was a great thing. So that's how you know you're doing good stuff out here, when you can make an amazing living helping other people and they are sending their loved ones to you to go through that same thing. That's about as cool as it gets. So Leah, sorry, this is a real last question. And then guys, we're going to go over to that Q&A. By the way, someone asked the recording, how soon will it be up? Here's the best news for you. We're streaming this live to YouTube right now. So all you have to do is, as soon as this ends, and guys, please, sorry, I should have said this. Bottom right of your screen, I'm so pointing the wrong way. Bottom right of your screen, there's a subscribe button. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube. This is our last session on YouTube for our Black Friday series. I do an average of 3 podcasts a week here for FDN. They're completely free. We have amazing people like Leah on. So they come on and share their health stories or things that they've learned. We do lab analysis and reviews there. So all free content, 465 episodes and counting. So please make sure you subscribe to us there. But with that said, on our YouTube page, under the live tab, Living Organically, under the live tab, so not videos, not shorts, under that live thing, you will actually instantly be able to watch this as soon as this is done. So before we get on our next thing here, which I have a minute for, we'll do it rapid fire. Any final words of wisdom for people that are considering the course? Like maybe they're looking at 5 different ones right now, Leah, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to make my decision for the end of Black Friday. And I think this counts as Cyber Monday now. I don't know. I got to make my decision though. I only have 12 hours. Any final words of wisdom for people who are still on the fence today?
I mean, I can just share why I chose FDN, and that's
Sure.
FDN gives you an unshakable foundation. So, I know a lot of people want to like deep dive into different things. Before you can deep dive into anything, you need a foundation that truly understands what's going on. And that's what FDN gives you. And it really, really taught me to be a good detective. And that's the best thing that you can give your future clients, is to be a detective, because then they'll have someone that's always fighting for them.
Amazing. Thanks. Guys, we're going to hop over to that Zoom. Again, Reed Davis, the founder, will be on. Brandy Buskow, our COO, and Elizabeth Gaines, our education director, and yours truly. And then that's our last session for Black Friday. So if you have any questions, that's the time to go get it answered. Is right now. It's just a Q&A session. So if you need anything answered, we're over there. 11:59 p.m. Pacific, California time, is when the sale ends. Our largest sale in FDN history. And I do not mean this in a cheesy way. I mean this quite literally. When Reed found out, because remember, Reed is doing his own thing. He's not necessarily our marketing team anymore. But when Reed found out you can get up to $3,500 off for the course if you pay in full, he had a few choice words to share with his lovely marketing team, including myself. And so another Ev guarantee is that we are not doing the same sale anytime soon. So it really is a good time to get into FDN. And if you guys have those questions, we'll see you over there. Welcome to everyone who's already joined. And a final thank you. I mean, seriously, Leah, thank you so much for closing us out for this Black Friday. This was awesome. And I have the coolest job in getting to host these things because every single keynote, you've kept the streak here, has inspired me to think bigger in my own business and stuff. I'm like, they're doing what? Or they did this. So I felt that